So thank you for that. Short Swadhyaya has been emphasized. We just have 3 days. Effectively, I don't know, 4 sessions probably, because you've come here. A few of you are first timers as well. So you'll be doing the Girivallam, you'll have to go to the main temple. So that just gives us time for actually 3. But I have taken this also as part of the Swadhyaya. So there was some apprehension, I believe. What is going to be taken? What do you want me to take? Dakshinamurti Stotram? Has it been done? Samvit Sadhakas? Familiar with it? Path Sankirtana we have done. Have we done the Chintana, Bhavartha? We can go into it. Lots of stanzas, 8 stanzas, but that is why we'll go a little more than Bhavartha. We won't spend too much time on each shloka, but the essence of the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namani Bhagavat Padam Shankaralloka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kratau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. This place has such fond memories and very powerful memories also for me. This was one of the first places I came to when I was in Seva. Bade Swamiji in Hang Halle Lamka, 86 87 Antunchi. My first Chaturmas was done here. Vatsalama was our Annapurna. And I had started my first long anushtans. Long anushtans in the sense, a huge number in lakhs of the mantra. And Swamiji had insisted I do the Panchanga, that is Stotra, Sahasranam, Puja, Archana, Ityadi. So I remember I had calculated how much time it would take me to complete 1 day session of the mantra japa. And it all went wrong. The first 2 days, let's say I had estimated 4 hours I'll have to sit for japa. 4, 5, 5.5 hours, and still it was not complete. Finally I managed. The first 2 days were, because it upset the whole system, the regime, the krama of the day. I had to complete everything every day. As you know, on these anushtanas, there's no spillover, no carry forward. You have to do it that very day. If you decide on 10,000, you can't do 9,000 on one day and then 11,000 the other next day. Then it stabilized. And I was very, very happy when I came a few years later and I saw Bhuvananandji Maharaj here. He was going through the same traumatic experience. So I said, ho jayega. So once the mantra gets hridayangama, it becomes swifter. As we say, we have stopped the Vaikhari japa. The attention goes into the madhyama level. At that time, the breathing, everything has to change. Should be very relaxed. You'll be poised also. And then the mantra starts at a very brisk level. So mantra japa is always brisk. It is not the whole mantra being repeated. It's like the whole mantra coming at one go. The tatparya, the purport of the mantra is grasped and it becomes very brisk. We'll go into it later, maybe in the conducted meditation session. Swamiji had also taken Swadhyaya for me when I was here. I think Samvit Sadhakas will appreciate this point. I used to go to Rishikesh for Adhyayana and come back with Nirguna, Nirguna, Nirguna. So Swamiji, we were sitting there in the lawn. I was sitting there was nobody else. Ramesh was in attendance. Swamiji took Mandukya Karika for me. Not much penetrated at that time. But after some time, Swamiji said, Sadhyo, I don't like this Nirguna when there is so much bliss all around. Now please be very, very careful. That is what is being highlighted. That is why this probably it's the best Swadhyaya we can do in this place. Saguna Nirguna athva Sopadika Brahma, Nirupadika Brahma. They are not two different things. It is a way of looking at it. It is a way of presentation also for the Shishya. The state of the Brahmanishtha, there is no difference. He is Pratishthit in his own Atman. But when it comes to expression, especially for the sake of the Shishya Varga, the Sopadhika may be more conducive for the Shishya. Shishya Buddhau Avataraya. For the subtlest of the subtle to be grasped, it may be easier, this pravesha into the Brahma Tattva as one's own Atman. So keeping that in mind, I thought we'll take Shri Dakshinamurti Stotram. In the Dakshinamurti Stotram, the last shloka, Sarvatma Tvamiti Sputikritamidam Yasmad Amushminstave Tenasya Shravanat Tadartha Mananat Dhyanachya Sankirtanat. Sarvatmatvam Mahavibhuti Sahitam Syad Ishwaratvam Swatah Siddhye Tat Punarashtadha Parinatam Chaishwaryam Avyahatam. This is the Phalashruti of the entire stotra. Phalashruti. What is the phala of this? So in the Phalashruti, the stuti of the stuti is done. Some indication of what is the phala of the stuti. Why are you doing this stuti? So the most important word is Sarvatma Bhava. Sarvatma Bhava is what is put as the ideal for the Shishya. We'll go into it slowly. But remember the terms. We won't go into too much technicality, but certain things will definitely help if you bear in mind those Sarvatma Bhava. This has been brought up in the Upanishads, in Srimad Bhagavad Gita also. So here in the Phalashruti, Sarvatmatvam iti Sputikridam Sputikritamidam Asmat Amushmin Stave. Asmin Stave Sarvatma Bhavaha Sputikritah Vartate. Spashtataya, it has been revealed, it has been expressed, the Sarvatma Bhava. Tasmad etasya shravanat tadartha mananat dhyanach cha sankirtanat. Sarvatmatvam mahavibhuti sahitam syad ishwaratvam. This is the phala of doing the sankirtana, the chant, and then shravana, manana and dhyana. Tasmad shravanat tadartha mananat and dhyanat cha sankirtanat. Shravana is listening to the stotra, manana tadartha mananat, meditating upon that, and then doing the dhyana. Once the purport of the entire shloka has been understood, doing nididhyasana on that, dhyana on that. Well, what does it yield? Sarvatva Bhava, Sarvatma Bhava is the phala. Ishwaratva and Ashtasiddhi Sahitam. Wow, who doesn't want that? You keep referring to this Phalashruti as we go through the entire stotra, because it is not just a stuti like in any other stuti of any devata, and then you will get this, you will get that, etc. Arthavada is there. No, this is very clear, because here we are tackling the three principal points of consciousness. I am. I am conscious, but I can't define myself. As an individual, I can identify myself, I am so and so, or I am this Dehi, or I am unhappy, I am bored, I am hungry, etc. etc. Depending on my identification with either the prana, the mana, the indriyas, or my status, or whatever, as a person, as a jiva. So, this jiva is the first point of consciousness. Then we have the Ishvara, the universal consciousness, the one whose suzerainty holds sway over all this creation, his creation. And then there is the Guru Tattva, which brings about the link. So, this apparent 3 points of contact of consciousness, in this stotra it is made clear they are one aikyam in that. This bhed is only because of Maya, the Jeev's avidya. It is a kalpita bheda. Kartas Navai, I am taking you swiftly through the main tenets of Vedanta. So that being the case, as a Jiva, we are confounded by Ajnana. I am aware of my own avidya. I am aware of my limitations, alpajnatva, alpashaktimatva. And on the other hand, Ishvara, who is Sarvajna, who is Sarvashaktiman. So because the very pravesha, the entrance into Vedanta through this shloka, through this stotra, is the Sarvatma Bhava. Instead of being obsessed with one's own limitations, the sadhaka rips through that avidya and is pratishthat as Ishvara, the Sarvajnatva, the Ashtasiddhi, etc. Sampanna he becomes aware. Now it is not that he is transported into Ishvara Bhava, it's the Sarvatma Bhava actually. And whatever now we can envisage as possessed by Ishvara, the Siddhis, the Sarvajnatva, the Sarva Vyapakatva, etc., it is my own Swarupa. That realization dawns upon the sadhaka who does Shravana of this stotra, and having done Shravana, does Manana. Because this is Vedanta, once you hear, that is not adequate. Asakrit upadeshatvat. Sakrit once, asakrit repeated. Repeated upadesha is given to the Shishya by the Guru. Something is okay, this is clear, but some sort of a samshaya, asambhavana comes up. But is it possible? That is also eliminated. Further upadesha, doubts are cleared. So the clearing of doubts, using the Shruti Pramana, but using Yukti, logic also, so that the Shishya, as he ascends, as his Praudhata increases, the Upadesha is given. So at every stage, Manana has to be done to integrate, to understand, to Atmasat karna kehte hain, to make it your own, the understanding. That is the spiritual maturity. And then Nididhyasan is Viparita Bhavana. I know Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, but still I am aware of this Jagata as Idan, and this is Aham. There is a difference. I and this. So that Viparita Bhavana, if that has to be removed, then mere Jnana is not adequate. It has to be Sakshad Aparoksha Jnana. And that comes when all doubts, not only doubts, the wrong perception is also removed, and that happens in Nididhyasana. Actually, Jnana Adeva tu Kaivalyam. Only through Jnana is Kaivalya Mukti attained. That also, that Jnana comes how? Through Shravana. That should be adequate. But because of the chanchalya of the mana, the upasana has to be done. And once ekagrata, one single pointedness has been acquired through upasana, tremendous bhakti has been generated. Bhakti is a motivational power which will see you through. It's not just vairagya. Vairagya is letting go of your wrong perception. But bhakti is that which will propel you. So upasana becomes of paramount importance. That is why this beautiful approach, which we call Samvit approach, through upasana, we go towards the Supreme. Then, in the state of dhyana, all doubts are dispelled, burnt off, and Shivoham, this jnana arises. The nididhyasan mantati. Viparita bhavana, to burn it away. So this is the result, this is the fruit of the stotra. Aikatas, you can still hear me? This noise from that? Because in Mauna we have to understand. But we prepare ourselves. So then when we sit quietly, we can really be quiet and still the agitation of the mind. So first I think we'll do the patha of this. You're all familiar, Dakshinamurti Stotram Halile. Sangati Korshiki, repeat kartati. Repeat a Kalabarasrani Pustakani Amisangani Shilne. So I think you can repeat. Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyan Nijantaragatam Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahirivod Bhutan Yatha Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Svatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Bijasyantarva kuro jagadidham Drang nirvikalpam punaha Maya kalpita desha kala kalana Vaichitra Chitrikritam Maya Viva Vijrumbhayatyapi Maha Yogi Vaya Svechaya Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Yasyaiva Sphuranam Sadatmakamasat Kalparthakam bhasate Sakshat Tattvamasiti Vedavachasa Yobodhayatyashritan Yat sakshat karanat bhavenna punara Vrittir bhavam bho nidhau Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Nana Chidra Ghatodhara Sthitamaha Deepa Bhaswaram ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरणं द्वारा बहिः स्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तमनुभात् एतत्समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये राहुग्रस्तदिवाकरेन्दुसदृशो देहं प्राणमपीन्द्रियाण्यपि चलाम् बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः स्त्रीबालान्दजडोपमास्त्वहमिति भ्रान्ताभृशं वादिनः मायाशक्तिविलासकल्पितमः व्यामोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये राहुग्रस्तदिवाकरेन्दुसदृशो मायासमाच्छादनात् सन्मात्रः करणोपसंहरणतो यो भूत्सुषुप्तः पुमान् प्रागस्वाप्समिति प्रबोधसमये यः प्रत्यभिज्ञायते तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बाल्यादिष्वपि जाग्रदादिषु तथा सर्वास्वस्थास्वपि व्यावृत्तास्वनुवर्तमानमहमे यन्तस्फुरन्तं सदा स्वात्मानं प्रकटीकरोति भजताम् यो मुद्रया भद्रया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये विश्वं पश्यति कार्यकारणतया स्वस्वामी सम्बन्धतः शिष्याचार्यतया तथैव पितृपुत्र आध्यात्मना भेदतः स्वप्ने जागृति वाय एष पुरुषो माया परिभ्रामितः तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये भूरं भांस्यनलो निलोम्बरमहर् नाथो हिमांशुः पुमान् इत्याभाति चराचरात्मकमिदम् यस्यैव मूर्त्यष्टकम् नान्यत् किञ्चन विद्यते विमृशताम् यस्मात् परस्माद् विभोः तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये सर्वात्मत्वमति स्फुटीकृतमिदम् यस्मात् अमुष्मिंस्तवे तेनास्य श्रवणात् तदर्थमननात् ध्यानाच्च संकीर्तनात् सर्वात्मत्वमहाविभूतिसहितम् स्यादीश्वरत्वं स्वतः सिद्ध्येतत् पुनष्टधा परिणतम् चैश्वर्यमौयाहतम् The Sankirtana, the Patha we have done, having listened to it, the Shravana, the Manana, we start. Vishvam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam. Vishvam Idantayaya Drishyate. Some basic concepts. Aham Idam. This Dvaita Bhava is there in the Ajnani. Through his Maya, through his Shakti, the Lord creates, sustains, dissolves. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. This goes on. As sadhakas, we become aware of the Nigrahatmika Shakti also. There's a component. This Nigraha is understood variously by sadhakas of whatever their stature, different stature. Nigraha, what is Nigraha? To keep away, to deny. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, we follow. But the Panchakritya of Shiva involves Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Nigraha and Anugraha. As an astika, one who believes in God, a sadhaka will say, yes, you are the creator, you sustain, you dissolve, but you're not giving me what I want, so you're doing nigraha on me. You're denying me something which I believe I need, I believe I'm worthy of, and I believe I have made sufficient pujas, pathas, parayanas, etc. to get that from you. And still you're denying me that. That is the nigraha that is felt by a regular, so to say, sadhaka. He also has certain aspirations. He has a sadhya, he's doing the sadhana, but those aspirations are a little, shall I say, limited, immediate. Idantaya yad drishyate, tasmin sandarbhe eva, idam maya praptavyam, avanchhaniyam idam, I don't want this pain should not trouble me, I need this. This sort of a calculation where you put in your efforts to get what you want, retain what you have possessed, and remove what is, or keep away at bay what is negative, what you perceive as negative. These efforts a person puts in, invoking divine help, is still a sadhaka. And this terminology, stages I have said, born, okay, then you become a bhakta, then you become a sadhaka, and then you become a shishya. This stotra is addressed to one who is aspiring or already established as a shishya. Now it is more of the Guru Vani that he wants, so that he understands this more efficiently. How does the Guru, how does the Ishvara see this idam, Jagat? I see it as something different for me, because I am not in Sarvatma Bhava. So what is the Sarvatma Bhava? There, the Nigraha aspect changes. It is not so much what I want and what I don't want. The Nigraha is I am being denied my birthright of seeing this as my own self. Kalata sir? So here the Nigraha is very, very different. And this stotra, the shloka, begins with one who is established in Sarvatma Bhava. So let us understand this. Vishwam darpana drishya mana nagari tulyam sadrish. Like darpana drishya mana nagari. Darpana, mirror. Darpana drishya mana nagari. Like the city that is perceived in a mirror. Okay, mirror, naturally, we know it is a plate of glass with a very, very reflective substance at the back, so that everything gets reflected in it. But basically, it's X and Y axis only. And at the same time, when I see a reflected Nagari, I sense depth in it. I can see an entire city in a small plate of glass, so to say, which doesn't actually have the depth, and the Nagari is not there either. There's no actual Nagari there. You understand that? Don't cling on to the Drishtanta. Don't try to put all factors of the Drishtanta into the Darshtanta. Kalatas Navan? It's just an example. So in a two-dimensional plate of glass, in a darpana, in a mirror, a person sees an entire Nagari. It is not there, but it is held in the darpana. So darpana drishya mana nagari tulyam nijantaragatam. He who sees it in his own Atman, Pashyan. Now look at that. There's a slight twist. Understand that. Atmani bahi eva udbhutam yatha nidraya. Bahi eva. Seeing this, accepting this, that it is in the Atman, but still Atman, something within, not Atman, all these things. There is, I have to accept Atman, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam, Hriddeshe Junatishtati. So you have localized the Atman. So okay, perceive this, understand this entire Nagari, it is in the Atman. But localized to dispel that confusion that the Atma is restricted to the Anahata. Bahihiya iva udbhutam yatha nidraya. So another example is given. elucidate the first one to make it clear. As in Nidra, here Nidra is not Sushupti, but it is Swapnavastha. As in a dream, Udbhutam Bahihi Iva. A person goes to sleep and then he sees the dream, and in the dream it is something apart from him. He is also playing a role in the dream, but the dream is something necessarily apart, distanced from him. So in the dream, again you have created another set of Desha, Kala, etc. Do you understand that? You're part of, it's only when you get up you say, oh, I saw a dream, and I was such and such a person in the dream, and that tiger was about to pounce on me, and I got up. So as an individual in the dream, very different probably from the individual as I consider myself to be. So when a person gets up, he is aware that dream was just a dream. It was kalpanika. There was nothing outside of me. Having got up, a person doesn't start looking around. Is the tiger still around? All that was contained in the Atman, but it was perceived as external. Do you understand this? So both these examples have to be understood in the correct context. First, accepting that in the Atman, this manifestation begins, and it is in the Brahmatman. There is nothing other than the Atma. So that is being brought out. And at the same time, the Jagat as perceived by an Ajnani is Aham Idam. Even this becomes Idam. The Sharira also is Idantaya Drishyate. So here it is being made very clear right in the beginning, Vishvam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam, like that, like the city that is seen in the Darpana, so also this entire manifestation, even in your Jagrata Avastha, is in the Atman. At the same time, it is perceived as something external, like in Swapna. Nijantaragatam Pashyan Atmani Mayaya. Now this is because of Maya. It's not just Avidya. Avidya, yes, but Maya is Ishvara Kalpanika. It is his Shakti which is bringing about this sense of duality, this sense of manifold Nanatva in the one Ishvara, Aham, in the Shuddha Brahman, through his Maya, all this is brought out. Yas sakshat kurute prabodha samaye svatmanam eva advayam tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye namaha idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. And yaha jo, that person, individual, yes, as a jiva. But he then, what does he realize? Yaha sakshat kurute. Sakshatkar karn gata. Who he realizes, prabodha samaye, at the time of illumination, Svatmanam eva advayam. Swa atmanam eva advayam. The Advaita Atman, the Brahmatman, he who realized, oh, I am this, and apart from me there was nothing. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye namah idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. To him, this namaskar, idam, namah idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. To that Dakshinamurti, I offer my prostrations. So, the Guru, as I told you, for the Ajnani, there is a Guru, there is Ishvara, and there is Jiva. But when we do the Dakshinamurti Stotra, though we revere Dakshinamurti as the Guru Tattva, it is very clear that all three distinctions are eliminated in this. So what is the Stotra, what is the Shloka? Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. In his own Swarupa, Vyomavad Vyapta Deha is the all-pervasive. And in that, this Kalpanika Bheda, this imaginary Bheda of Ishvara, Guru and Jiva. Now these are elements of consciousness, so that Vyapakatva is not a dimensional spatial extravaganza. That is also Kalpanika, Desha, Kala, Kalana, Maya, Dwara, Vaichitra Chitri Kritam. It will come later in the shlokas. So with his own Shakti, Maya Shakti, what is not is posited. So what happens to a jiva? A jiva bhava. First of all, there is ajnana, there is avidya. I am not aware of my own self in its totality. Not only that, there is a kalpana that there is this panchabhuta also. I am, and I am limited, and there is much more other than me. That is the not only ajnan but vikshepa shakti also is there. Making sense? Aram se. So again go back to the three avasthas. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti avastha. Jagrat avastha, now I am awake. This sort of a sense of everything is restored, normalcy. I had slept. There was a period of deep, profound sleep. Sukham aham aswapsam, which is understood once a person gets up. I slept very well. Yes. Did I see a dream? That was a swapnavastha. But did I sleep well? I slept very well. Sukham aham aswapsam. In that deep sleep, there is no cognition of I am sleeping well. There is total ajnana. And there is ajnana, but there is no vikshepa. Do you understand that? Vikshepa is, again, there is nothing else that is perceived. But since that ajnana is there, there is no realization. But one element has been eliminated in deep sleep, that is vikshepa. That is why, having come out of deep sleep, a person feels very refreshed. Now in the Mandukya Karika, etc., in the pure Vedanta, they talk about sleep, and then the other two avasthas of Jagrat and Swapna, they almost put it in the same category. In both you have vikshepa. You not only don't see yourself, you see what is not there, what is projected, what is kalpanika, both in Swapna also and Jagrat also. So they are kept in that pratibhasik category. But Bhagwan Bhashyakar made it a little simple for us. He brought about the Vyavaharik Satyata. Vyavaharik. In Jagrat, we accept this. Okay, right now, this is also Satya, Idantayaya Drishyate. But as Upasakas, as students of Vedanta, we accept its reality with a corollary, so to say. It is Kalpanik. It is not. Finally, Paramarthika Drishtya, it is not true. Now, these are the convictions that have to come in a Shishya when he does Guru Upasatti. Otherwise, he can go on arguing. So, through the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasan that is going on, Seva, etc. is involved, where slowly the Ahankara releases its tenacious hold on the Jiva. So this sort of an insistence, that may be, but what I see is real, and how can I accept it as mithya? There is a stage where this is also perceived as mithya, just as when you get up, your swapna is no longer continuing to be true. So then though slowly the understanding blossoms. There is something that is projecting it. In my dream, it is because of my own samskaras, it is on my own prarabdha. But on, so to say, a bigger level, in the Jagrata Avastha, it is the power of the Ishvara. It is his Vivarta of projecting something that is not there. Having subdued himself, put himself into Jiva Bhava. Kartasa, from the standpoint of the Jiva, it is I am Ajnani, but I accept this as Kalpanika, so I am willing to let go of my insistence that this alone is real through Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. In Dhyana Avastha and Nididhyasana, the Viparita Bhavana also disappears and a person is released into his own Shiva Swarupa, Shivoham. Till then, this continues. So Vishvam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantaragatam, Nija Antaragatam. In the Atman alone, this Jagat is perceived just as the mirror reflects, or so to say, seems to contain an entire nagari. Actually, there is nothing. The depth, etc., is provided. So, also in the Atman, it is conjured, so to say, through Maya Shakti. But at the same time, it is perceived by the Jiva as something external, as something other than him. He is one entity alone in that. There are many other Jivas, there are the Pancha Mahabhutas, there is Surya Chandra, but that Aham is still there. So that Aham is something we have to cling on to, understand in its purity. Having got up from a dream, we realized it was all within me, there was nothing outside. So also, Prabodha Samaye, here, post realization, yes, the sadhaka is established, other than me, there is nothing. And even in the so called Jagrat Avastha, this realization is sustained because this Atman is beyond these avasthas. It is not defined by these three avasthas. A jiva will say, yes, I am awake, I slept well, I saw a dream, I am awake again, whatever. Karta sa? But what does the Upanishad say? There is a turiya also. It is not limited by these three avasthas. These three avasthas go in a circle, go on like a wheel, but beyond that also you are there, and that is the turiyam. It's not a state, that is the truth on which all these avasthas come and go. You want to be defined by that because of ajnana, then you are baddha, jiva bhava. You have to face the consequences. If you say, accept at least the Guru Vakya, mithya, this is mithya, yes, then there is a possibility that you will be released into your own Shiva Swarupa. So one who has done that, that tattva, that Guru, because it comes to illuminate me, but it is established in itself beyond these three Ishvara, Guru, Atma differentiations. That is the Dakshinamurti that I revere. We'll go about it at this pace. Are you okay? We can always come back to the previous shlokas if there is any confusion or any further elaboration is required as we progress, because it's a very beautiful stotra. Really, Sarvatma Bhava is brought out in this. That is why I want to take the entire stotra. There's no point in just taking 2 or 3 and then taking it up after a few years. Bijasyantarivangkuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punah maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitrikritam mayavi iva vijrumbhayati api mahayogi iva yah svechaya tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaha Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. This refrain continues because here it is Dakshinamurti, the all-pervasive, the pure Atman. That is my Atman, and to that I bow. I get that feeling of reverence because I perceive that as that in which my Guru is established. I do the namaskara again because I perceive that Dakshinamurti to be Ishvara himself doing his anugraha on me, liberating me from my own limitations, assumed limitations, kalpanika limitations, keeping me in jiva bhava. That was the nigraha that I was feeling, not being denied something that I wanted, but I am stuck. I know I am Abala Gopa Vidita, Lalita Sahasranam, Abala Gopa Vidita. She who is known by the Bala, an innocent child, not very mature, Gopa, a cowherd who takes care of the cattle, etc., not extraordinarily intelligent, but that Atman is known by everybody, not just the Vidwan, not just the Upasaka. Abala Gopa Vidita. Aham Rupena, the Atman is known. But unfortunately, immediately after the Ahankarana begins, and I am, but I am this, or whatever. I am threatened, I am powerful, I am happy. All the Upadhi identifications begin. Those are Kalpanik. So Atman in its purest form is not understood. as long as avidya is there, but it is known. So it is again, it is not something external to you. It is not something, oh, I am Jivan, I am going to become Shiva. There's no becoming. It's a realization of I am Shiva. That is being posited repeatedly, but at various levels in this stotra. Bijasya antah eva ankurah jagadidam. Seed. In that seed, antaha, ankura eva, jagadidam. A seed is planted, watered, grows, sprouts, ankura. A small plant sprouts up. So just as that plant, potentially a tree, is actually contained in the bija, in the seed itself, jagadidam, this jagata, prang nirvikalpam, is initially contained. It's nirvikalpa, it's not savikalpa, it's not manifest, it is the unmanifest, this jagat also. Punaha, then again, maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitri kritam. This example is a single example. There's a seed, it is planted, it sprouts, and then you have the ankura, ankuritam, a small sapling grows into a big tree. That entire tree with its potential is contained in the seed, not in the soil, in the bead itself, in the seed. So also this nirvikam, this jagat, is initially contained in the Atman, the potential. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitri kritam. Maya kalpita, mayaya, by maya, again it's inherent power of Ishvara. Through that, kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitri kritam. With the power of his own Samvit Shakti, Maya, you can say, kalpita desha kala kalana, the desha kala kalana, these three elements which bring about creation as perceived as from the Ishvara's point of view. Kalpita, that is why it is kalpita, it is the kalpana of Ishvara. Kalpita desha kala kalana. Desha means with space, time. These are the two most important things. Kalana is causation. Because of this, this. Because of this. So we are led willy-nilly into, okay, not this, now this, because of this I'll do this, etc., etc., etc. It's a never-ending, never-ceasing attempt to get the best out of this creation. The motivating force, kalana, desha kala, prepares the stage for the jiva to express himself, to understand and be baddha. So this desha kala kalana is maya kalpita. In himself it is there, prang nirvikalpam. Prang, initially it is nirvikalpa, it is not vyakta, but it is contained in Ishvara. And then through his Shakti it sprouts, it blossoms. Aham idantaya yadrishyate kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitri kritam. Then it comes in its extravaganza, exuberance. And then from the point of the view of the jiva, and he gets totally confounded, caught up in this alone. Vaichitra chitri kritam. It's not just vichitra, vaichitra vichitri kritam. You are so caught up in that, in the nanatva, that even the possibility of liberation doesn't strike. I still can make amends, I still can do well, I still can be happy in this. With this sort of an understanding, the jiva is kept baddha in his jivahood, so to say. It's a very bewildering force, the Maya. So because of Ajnana, not understanding his Shiva Swarupa, even the desire to understand doesn't rise till we get the touch of Satsanga. The spark is ignited. That is why the Ishvara element is really respected. Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Accepting a Dakshinamurti as that underlying Chaitanya, which through its own Maya divides itself, so to say, into Ishvara, Guru and the Jiva, I respect it as the Guru because he is the link between the Ishvara and Jiva. Without that, it's just not possible. So, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So, going by the example, there is a seed, it needs some soil, you have to plant it, you have to water it, you have to take care that it breathes, and then it sprouts, and then it requires sunlight, oxygen, etc., nutrients. Don't take all those things. Here it is all nirvikalpa, the potential, not only potential, whatever nutrients, etc., are required, they are all in Ishvara itself. There is nothing other than him. So, Bija Drishtantadilya, don't try to take it very, very literally. Otherwise, you will get stuck into another Siddhanta like the not Sankhya, the Patanjali. There is a Prakriti, there is a Purusha. No, we don't have that. Prakriti, Purusha, if the Purusha is limited, he is Jiva. His Mukti is not getting isolated or detached from Prakriti. Understanding everything as nothing but an effulgence or whatever of the Atman is the goal. There is nothing. Advayam. Advayam Atmanam we have to understand. Mayavi iva vijrumbhayati api Mahayogi vaya swechhaya tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Another example, there are magicians who conjure. So Mayavi iva, like a Mayavi, like a magician, vijrumbhayati api Mahayogi vaya. Mahayogi iva. Because of his siddhis, he can manifest things, he can materialize things. A simple yogi, Ishvara, who is a repository of all Shakti, he manifests this universe and he doesn't require anything else to manifest it. There is no other material cause, there is no other intelligence that is required. Slowly getting into Vedanta. Upadana Karana and Nimitta Karana. Makes sense? Have you heard these terms? I'm sure we have gone through it. So, to do anything, to make anything, we need the material cause, and there has to be some intelligence also to fabricate it. Simple examples like a pot are given. You have a potter, he is the efficient cause, he is the intelligence, and the potter, he just doesn't visualize. Oh, he may visualize, I want to do this, but when he has to finally manufacture a pot, his intelligence, his skill is there, as also clay. Upadana Karana. So if Ishvara creates, what is the Upadana Karana? Nothing other than him. Just as in a dream, you don't require the hide, etc., of that tiger. You create entirely. You will feel its hot breath also as it comes. Bhapre. So everything is contained within you. So Prang Nirvikalpam, initially in its own Bijavastha, everything is contained. No other Upadana Karana or Nimitta Karana is required to manifest for Ishvara. So he who does this, like a Mayavi who can conjure or materialize, this is Ishvara who is beyond a Mahayogi. He is a repository of all Shakti. So that Ishvara, I worship him as the Guru, I worship that Tattva as my own Atma, as Dakshinamurti. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Yasya eva sphuranam sadatmakam asatkalparthakam bhasate sakshat tattvamasi iti veda vachasa yo bodhayati ashritan yat sakshat karanad bhavet na punaravrittihi bhavambho nidhau tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namah Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. Asti bhati priyam rupam, asti bhati priyam rupam, nama chetansha panchakam. These 5 elements, asti bhati priyam rupam nama. 5 elements we perceive. Nama rupatmakam jagat. Kratasnava, I see form, I can label it, there's a name for it. That is that which is perceived. So when I say, okay, asti, there is something, it is palpable, it is perceivable, bhati, and there is something desirable about it, priyam. So the asti, bhati, and priyam are essentially components, you can say, of the Atman. The nama rupatmakam is a projection. Just go back to the dream again. Example, just as I give the form of to the object that is perceived in the dream, there is an asti in that, there is a, yes, there is, and I see it, whatever object is perceived in the dream, that astitva has been imparted to that particular object of the dream by me. When I get up, it doesn't continue to exist on its own. Okay, I see this book right now, I shut my eyes, I don't see it, but it continues to be there. It is not, so to say, in this Jagrata Avastha, it is not my perception that decides as a jiva, my perception as a jiva that decides the existence of any object. But here, the Nama Rupatma Jagat I may not perceive if I close down my senses, but they continue to exist. But when I see it from the perspective of the Ishvara, the Astitva, like in my dream, I impart the Astitva Asa Manela, Ani perceived, Bhati, Prakashita Zata, Ani that Priyata, they are all within me, and I am lending it to the objects perceived in the dream. Okay, whatever the Nama and Rupa. So that Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam, Priyam, these belong to the Satchidananda Swarupa of the Atman. So here, Yasya iva Spuranam, instead of breaking up into so Asti Bhati Priyam, Yasya iva Spuranam, that spark, Sadatmakam Asatkalparthakam Bhasate. The Spurana is the element of the Chaitanya, the pure Atman. That conjures the objects and they are perceived as something different from one's own self. Yasya eva spuranam sadatmakam spuranam asatkalparthakam bhasate. It prakashit karta hai, it manifests, it helps in perceiving the nama rupatmak jagat, which in itself is asat. How do you define asat? Truth. Yad drishyam tad anityam. Yad anityam tad asat. Whatever is perceived is anitya. This much we can also understand. And whatever is anitya, it is asat. Asat, not truth, is, okay, what is truth? Trikala abadhitvam. That which is not badhita, that which continues in all three kalas is the sat. Trikala abadhitvam is asatyatvam. It was there, but now it is not, it is asat. It is there, but after whatever, 5 minutes or after this Kali Yuga or whatever, it won't be there, is again asat. तीनों कालों में जो नहीं रहता है, that is asat, and that immediately pertains to whatever is perceived. So this asat jagat has been projected because of whose spurana, that is Dakshinamurti, that is what I revere. But it is seen, it is perceived, but it has a limited life, not shelf life. Literally it is used, but it is limited. But whose Purana brought about it in the first place, that Dakshinamurti I revere. Sakshat Tattvamasi iti Veda Vachasa Yo Bodhayati Ashritan. Whose Purana brings about this universe, this Jagat, and who Sakshat Tattvamasi iti Veda Vachasa, using the Mahavakyas, Yo Bodhayati, he who illuminates the Ashrita, the Shishya, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Yat Sakshat Karanad na bhavenna punaravrittihi. What is the phala of this? Here sakshat karanat. Having done the sakshatkar of that tattva, there is no punaravritti, return to this samsara. That tattva I revere as Dakshinamurti. Three elements are being brought out. That Chaitanya, whose Purana brings about this entire Jagat into existence, I revere as Dakshinamurti. That again which comes as the Guru and gives the Upadesha, the Mahavakya Upadesha, liberates those who have taken refuge in him, that I revere as Dakshinamurti. And what is the phala of this? The bodha of the sakshatkara? Na punaravritihi bhavam bho nidhau. There is no return to this samsara sagara. It's not, okay, having done a lot of punya, you go to some Svargaloka, and for thousands of years there is just Sukha Prapti, Bhoga. But then Punaravartanam is a must because there is still Ajnana. So it's not subjective, it is not relative. The unconditional abidance in the Atman, which is a result of the bodha of that tattva. It is not an individual who can give this bodha. That I revere as Dakshinamurti, and it is the same Shakti which is bringing about this, whatever is seen as idam. Makes sense? So there is no Ishvara who is creating and wants the jivas to continue subjugated, different, and the Guru Shakti desperately trying to liberate the poor jiva who is now become his shishya. It is the same tattva which is manifesting. It is the same tattva that liberates the jiva, and then the jiva accepts, this is my Atman, there is nothing other than me. The Guru, the Ishvara, the Chaitanya, that I am. Shri Dakshinamurtaye Nama Idam. Making sense? I think we have come to the third. Any questions? Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha guru tasyaite katitha hiyarthaha prakashante mahatmanah. To that Mahatma, he is called a Mahatma. The Jeev who is aspiring for this jnana is called a Mahatma. He who is permitting that Atma Tattva to reveal itself. So the sadhana chatushtaya comes into play. But what is the orientation of that jiva who is now not just a sadhaka, as I said, who has become shishya? He who sees yasya deve para bhakti, who has bhakti, not just bhakti, not as a means of procuring what he wants, but as the total summation of his life, the goal of his life. Yasya deve para bhakti, yatha deve tatha guru. And that which comes to him as Guru, equally that sort of a bhakti towards the Guru, to that Mahatma, the truth is revealed. Tasyaite prakashante. Whatever is the purport of the Vedanta, of the Upanishads, that is revealed to that Mahatman who has parabhakti, who doesn't differentiate between the Ishvara, his Ishtadevata, and the Guru. That Bheda consciously is removed. Making sense? That is the first. In Dakshinamurti, sadhana chatushtayamantati, you have to have the vichar, vivek, vairagya, etc., such shat sampatti. Besides that, this orientation, the Advaita Bhava is being established right from the beginning. These differentiations are kalpanika. That being the case, in my better moments, I am not going to insist on them. Insistence is at various levels. One is, I want this, I know, and I need this. Having crossed that, Shuddhi, the Antakaran Shuddhi has come. There is a charm in life, in being led. Vinita Bhav, Prahvi Bhav is there. That sense of surrender is there. There is more and more I need to know. Not about Vishaya, about myself. Why am I limiting myself? Why am I restricting myself? Why am I becoming baddha in Jeev Bhav? No, 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 this is the way it is, etc. I give up my insistence. What is happening is the Shaithilya Karana of karma. I must do this, etc., fades off. Karma also becomes a means of propitiating the Lord. I have done this, immediate result is good, but are you happy with this? Prasanno Guru. With that orientation, the bandhana, the strangling bonds of karma begin to loosen. That is one lakshana that you are approaching the truth. The second is gati, avagati, more and more understanding of one's own self, a purification that is happening, and ultimately avasadan, complete annihilation of ajnana and establishing one's own self and one's pure Atman. That is Upanishad, isn't it? What is Upanishad? The word Upanishad, Upa, Ni, Shradr, Dhatu. Upa is to approach, Ni is with conviction, not with doubt, having dispelled doubt at every stage. And then the Shradr Dhatu, Upani, Shradr is Visharana Gati Avasadana. When you approach the teachings, the Shravana, having done the Shravana with conviction, you listen, you imbibe that, you do manana to use your logic to eliminate all the doubts, and then the deepest of your meditations. See, in pure Vedanta, it is the Brahmakara Vritti that is mentioned. You have studied a lot, and when you sit, analyze, you have removed all the doubts, and then Shivoham. I know this with conviction. Other than that, there is nothing. In that, all the other vrittis, all the other thoughts are eliminated, and the Shivoham, that alone remains. Then there is no chant of the word Shivoham or the Mahamantra Shivoham or Aham Brahmasmi. There is a complete conviction, and that yields the Sakshat Aparoksha Jnanam. As Upasakas, when we do the mantra japa, and as we go deeper and deeper, the process of repeating the mantra fades off. It is just the mantra, just the presence of the Lord beating upon one's self, so to say. There, that insistence and I am amuk amuk, I am such a person, or whatever, fades off. The ahankara loses its grip. And there, through anugraha, avidya is removed. Makes sense? Again and again, this Upanishad element will come. Because here, Sakshat Tattvamasi Ti Veda Vachasa Yo Bodhayati Ashritan. Through Mahavakya, through Shravana, this jnana is imparted. Shravanad eva tu kaivalyam. It is not something that can be just conjured. It is not something that is logically attained to. Logic is used after Shravana. The conviction in the Shruti Vakya, Upanishad, mantras, and when it is expounded by the Guru. In that, the Ashrita has tremendous faith. It is going against all his normal perception. So it's a very, very difficult task. That is why the prerequisite of Parabhakti in Ishvara, Parabhakti in the Guru is insisted upon. And it becomes joyous, surprisingly. The more this increases, the more the relentless prahara, attack of the ahankara on the self ceases. All your insecurities, all your unexpressed desires and all fade off. They are kept in abeyance. And there's a big sense of relief. Shaithilya Karanam. Shithilata is you're tied, you can't move at all. And somebody loosens it and you find, okay, yes, it's getting loose. I may be able to slip out of this. That Shaithilya Karana happens. That Shaithilya Karana is at the karma level. Not yet jnana, but through upasana, we sense that I am not bound by my karma. There is something magnificent that is happening, and I can learn to work as a nimitta. There is a tremendous power which is guiding, which is sort of fashioning my life for me. It's not just me, I don't know what, against a very unpleasant world, everybody conspiring against me. All these elements fade off. There's a tremendous sense of joy. We want that Chaitanya Karana, of that Karma Bandhana. And then because of Bhakti, the other elements also come into play. Avagati, more and more understanding, spiritual understanding. You may get insights, what we call miracles. They may be something external, they may be internal. And then finally, removal of the ajnana to be established in one's own Shiva Swarupa. This is, we'll see as we go further. That is why I want to take all these shlokas. The facets, the way of looking, the perspective of understanding this Dakshinamurti has been brought out in these 9 stanzas. It's wonderful. Sarvatma Bhava. Shivoham, but not necessarily having to close your eyes. Bhuram bhansya nalo nilom baramahar natho himanshuv puman ityabhati characharatmagamidam yasyaiva murtyashtakam nanyat kinchana vidyate vimrushatam. Those who do this sort of a vimarsh, those who have, again, without parabhakti in the Guru, without parabhakti in your Ishtadevata, this is not possible. All this mithya and all, it's good to put on paper and all, but otherwise this is real. That conviction of Jiva Bhava sinks, brings you down. To let go of that even for some time requires a lot of punya. But if you have had satsang, that means yes, adequate punya has been generated. Let us not waste it. Correct? Do you think it's a joke to have this sort of a commitment to any spiritual ideal for decades? It's not. At any stage you can be tossed aside by your own ahankara, by your own ignorance and, unfortunately, arrogance. I can do it, I don't require. So both these are, you feel the relief when neither your arrogance is demanding that I have to take care of myself, I am Guru and all, Ishvara, Kalpanika. You let go of that arrogance, which is the first manifestation of avidya, of your ajnana. And then the joy of receiving something which is far beyond the senses, that conviction arises, yes, there is a way. And finally, removal of ajnana to be established in one's own swarupa. But this beauty is taking even the Pancha Mahabhutas as Dakshinamurti. Not only the Pancha Mahabhutas, which sort of accounts for the entire creation, idantaya yad drishyate, but also certain ideas like as within, so without. As within, so without. This sort of a, this is me and this is something different, is removed in Ashtamurti Upasana of Dakshinamurti. The Pancha Mahabhutas are there. There is Prithvi Tattva within, there is Prithvi Tattva without. There is Jala Tattva within this body, so to say me. There is Jala Tattva without also. So all the Pancha Mahabhutas, much more than that. I am not just a pot or something. I am aware of myself first because I can think. So if I can think, so also the Surya in the cosmic realm, which signifies intelligence. I am not just a computer, not just calculating, not just thinking. There are emotions within me. So also the moon in the, so to say, cosmic realm. And all this, all these 7 elements, there's a perceiver, me, which is immediately, unfortunately, confounded with I'm unhappy or whatever. Aham, just that pure aham. And in the cosmic, Ishvara. As there is no difference between the Pancha Mahabhutas per se, there is no difference between this me and the Ishvara Aham. That Aikya is established. Which is why in Dakshinamurti Upasana, you have the internalization where you meditate, you cut off all sensory perception, you may visualize taking the senses internal without the Golaka, but you go beyond that also. And complementary to that is the Ashtamurti Upasana, so that you don't restrict your aham to this anahata. Feel that presence of the Lord everywhere. That is what establishes a person, or rather leads him in, builds in that conviction that yes, Sarvatma Bhav is what I should aspire for. Everything else can potentially be hazardous because it can create some wrong concept of moksha. So the beauty of Dakshinamurti Stotra may it reveal itself, unveil itself for us in our Swadhyaya. Anything else? Anything that was clear in what I said? Slowly go about it, once, twice, thrice. So at least the bhavarth, let it be clear, and let the connection between the stotra, shlokas also be clear. Then it will become beautiful. There's tremendous depth in this stotra, we won't tackle it. The various philosophies that are brought up, understanding of the Jiva Bhava, of Jagat, they are brought up and proved to be inadequate in this. Finally, it is Brahma Satyan Jagan Mithya. But there again, in the Sarvatma Bhava. Tomorrow, what do we have? Sakani? Morning?
Swadhyaya at 7 a.m.
Okay. You will be all fed and watered before that, or you have your breakfast after that? At least tea?
Morning tea, then Swadhyaya, then breakfast.
Wow.
And after that, Swamiji performs puja.
We'll have puja tomorrow. Dakshinamurti puja. That will be around 9, 9:30? 9:30? Okay.
And then in the evening from 3 o'clock, the Shivaratris visit Ramanashram and Arunachaleshwar temple. And again at 7 p.m. Swamiji's Swadhyaya.
We'll be able to complete substantially. भज ध्यानैकनिरत सदा शिवम् 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 दक्षिणामूर्तिरूपं महादेवम् दक्षिणामूर्तिरूपं महादेवम् consolidate whatever I have understood. I want to do nididhyasana on this. I perceive myself, I am aware of myself as blessed with the power of Kriya Shakti. I am alive, I can do work. I have emotions, I feel, and I understand. Jnana Shakti. At the Mooladhara Chakra, I do pratishtha of the Bijakshara Aim, the Vidya Bija, with a prayer that my karma, my kriya is intelligent, ceases to bind me, strengthens me, invigorates me in my spiritual sadhana. Aim Bija in the Mooladhara. I invoke the Hrinkara in my Anahata. My emotions are purified, they are strong, and I am blessed with divine emotions. Fortitude, patience, strength. I dispel fear in my heart through Hreem. My attention is now on my Agnya Chakra, where I wait for the Anumati of my Guru, and immediately I transfer my attention to my Sahasrara. Shreem. The Shreem Bija brings about the blossoming, the complete offering of what I consider me and mine at the feet of the Guru. Because in the Sahasrara, I have invoked the presence of the Guru Padukas. I meditate upon my Guru Paduka, and as I visualize them, I feel their calming, liberating influence. The very Devis, the Devatas of this place come forward and do puja of the Guru Padukas, because while they may be supreme in their own respective kshetras, it is the Guru Padukas alone that can liberate, that can take one beyond the samsara. They propitiate the Guru Padukas. They use divine Jala, Amrita to do the Paduka Abhisheka. This Jala, this Amrita is now Charanamrita for me as it cascades down, purifying me within and without, washing away all that is negative, all that is demeaning, all that is limiting in me. I maintain this constant awareness of offering all my Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti and Jnana Shakti at the feet of the Guru. I invoke this Shakti from the Mooladhara. I sense its power, its grace in my Anahata. I sense the fulfillment in the Sahasrara. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aim Rim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aim Rim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aim Hrim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aim Hrim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aim Hrim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Shambhunatha Karunakara Siddhinatha Shri Siddhinatha Karunakara Shambhunatha Sarvaparadha Malinepi Mai Prasannam Cetah Kurushva Sharanam Mamananyadasti Sharanam Mamananyadasti. The very effort that the sadhaka puts in, his guru upasatti, his upasana, it attracts the attention of Ishvara. there is anugraha. So whatever mundane things we can ask for, judiciously they are given to us. Situations, circumstances are created in a manner that we are released from the clutches of the ahankara. Sukha, Shanti, Samruddhi, Yasha, etc. that a karma kandi will pray for. They are received as gifts by the sadhaka, by the shishya. He doesn't have to explicitly ask for these things. He may, as an upachara, ask, but his heart is not on these gifts. They are taken as prasada. The whole orientation is brought towards this sarvatma bhava. This is my birthright. What is it that has happened that could bewilder me, fool me, deny me this? This is the mumuksha that manifests. And true Guru Upasatti happens. And then that Guru Anugrahatmika Shakti has no choice but to reveal itself in its fullness. This is the culmination of our sadhana. Let that orientation never be watered down with any prarabdhavasha circumstances. If this intensity is maintained in this janma itself, the sarvatma bhava, I will not use the word attained, it will be realized as your own Atma Swarupa. May this be the prasad that we get when we meditate upon such wonderful texts, Vakya of the Guru, the Shastra and the Guru manifest that Anugraha Shakti through these stotras. At this place, in the Sannidhi of Arunachala himself, specially sanctified for us, made accessible for us by the Pratishtha of Dakshineshwara, Dakshinamurti. Maybe for some time at least, give up our immediate concerns, learn to melt in that grace so that we are wafted up, released into our own Shiva Swarupa. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avasthasham Bhavinestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkham Apnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadev.